Dear students, my name is Jason Corey, and I serve as the Associate Dean for Graduate Studies and Associate Professor of Performing Arts Technology here at SMTD. I'm joined today by Caitlin Taylor, Program Manager in the School of Music, Theater, and Dance Office for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. This recording will serve as an overview of the 2021 DEI Climate Survey for graduate students. The School of Music, Theater, and Dance is committed to furthering the university's mission of ensuring that each member of our community has an equal opportunity to thrive and to take full advantage of the resources afforded by the University of Michigan. SMTD fully embraces the notion that academic and artistic excellence is inseparable from an abiding and pervasive institutional commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. This presentation will review the results of the climate survey for graduate students at SMTD. Though this is specific to graduate students, we welcome anyone in the SMTD community to watch and respond to the survey results.
If you have questions about the Student Climate Survey, please contact the SMTD Office for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion at smtd-dei-office@umich.edu. With that, let's move to the presentation outline. First, we'll review the background and purpose of the climate survey. Then we'll review method and design, followed by key indicators. At the end of the presentation, I will share information on ordering supplemental materials. Starting on October 28th, 2021, the university launched a DEI climate survey. This survey was designed to assess perspectives, opinions, and experiences related to diversity, equity, and inclusion at the university from the UM community of students, faculty, and staff on the Ann Arbor campus. This survey was a follow-up to those conducted in 2016 and 2017 and will allow us to understand how the climate has changed in the past 5 years. The goal was to take the temperature of campus and to evaluate other changes that have been made. At the top of each report, there is a helpful guide for reading and reviewing the report materials. For every measure, the report contains greater detail on the presentation of the prompt or the question, the answer set, and differences in question format by respondent type. When looking at students, surveys were adjusted for undergraduate and graduate student populations. When asked about questions, graduate students were asked to think of their primary school or college, which is SMTD. Graduate students involved in this process are those in degree granting traditional or online programs. A sample study, which is forthcoming, was deployed to better specify takeaways for UM overall and for longitudinal statistical comparison. Unit report data includes unit level change metrics, acknowledging the limitations of direct or longitudinal comparisons, including changes in the questionnaire or data collection, structural changes at UM, unique environmental influences, including the 2016 presidential election and the COVID-19 pandemic, and the statistical weighing of unit data. An independent contractor was used for data collection effort, and every step was taken to preserve confidentiality of participants. In some instances, this meant data suppression to reduce likelihood of perceived disclosure. A unit level report with fewer than 10 completed responses was suppressed. Demographic data suppression occurred with any cell in the demographic tables representing fewer than 15 responses. General cell data suppression occurred with any cell in the remainder of the report where the data represents fewer than 5 responses. And 2017 to 2021 comparison suppression occurred if the 2017 data qualified for data suppression. As a starting point for the report, we'll look at response rates for graduate students. At UM, 17,945 graduate students were invited and were eligible to take the survey, and there were almost 4,200 responses, for a response rate of 26.3%. In SMTD, of the 294 eligible graduate students, 57 completed the survey for a response rate of 22.4%. The survey included demographic questions, and the following represents the respondents for the SMTD graduate student survey. The average age of respondents was 28.2. 51.6% of respondents were women, and 42.2% of respondents were men. 33% of respondents are members of the LGBTQIA+ community, and 66% were heterosexual. Continuing demographic questions, 50% of the respondents were white, and 23.4% of respondents were Asian American, Asian, or Pacific Islander. Race and ethnicity was asked as a select all that apply question. Finally, 50% of the respondents were white and 50% were BIPOC. The next few slides will deal with the overall satisfaction with climate and environment as described by the graduate participants at SMTD. Overall, 25.4 were very dissatisfied or dissatisfied, 28.6 felt neutral about climate, and 46% were satisfied or very satisfied. Women respondents were more satisfied than men, and BIPOC respondents were more satisfied than white respondents. The numbers in parentheses indicate the change in percentage when compared with the 2017 climate survey. This graphic details satisfaction with climate by race and ethnicity. This is a reminder that only indicated information from respondents is included. White respondents were somewhat evenly distributed across the three categories, with most indicating that they felt neutral about climate. 60% of Asian American and Asian respondents indicated that they were very satisfied or satisfied with climate. We'll continue with dimensions of factors, general and DEI factors. When looking at factor 1, the general DEI climate, SMTD graduate students rated the climate at a 3.6 out of 5. Men rated general climate higher than women, 3.9 versus 3.5, and white respondents rated general climate lower than BIPOC respondents, 3.5 versus 3.7. Factor 2, which is our DEI climate, was rated a 3.9 out of 5 by SMTD graduate students. Men rated climate higher than women on the 5-point scale, and BIPOC rated climate a 4 out of 5, compared with white respondents, who rated DEI climate 3.8 out of 5. When examining general and DEI climate by race and ethnicity, we see that white respondents rated general climate 3.5 and DEI climate at 3.8. Asian American and Asian respondents rated general climate at 3.6 and DEI climate at 3.9. Respondents of more than one race rated general climate at 4.0 and DEI climate at 4.3. Again, all of these ratings reflect a 5-point scale. With that, I'll invite Associate Dean Corey to review climate dimensions.
Participants were asked to reflect on several sets of opposing climate-related dimensions. Pairs of adjectives are shown as endpoints on a scale, and participants selected a rating between each adjective. The scale allows for up to 5 points between each pair of adjectives. SMTD graduate students rated SMTD as friendly, respectful, collegial, cooperative, supportive, and welcoming. On a 5-point scale, all of these factors are rated 3.1 out of 5 or above. Participants were also asked about additional climate dimensions and indicated that SMTD was non-racist, diverse, non-sexist, non-homophobic, non-transphobic, and non-ageist. On a 5-point scale, All of these factors were rated 3.4 out of 5 or above.
The upcoming slides deal with respondents' feelings about belonging at SMTD, opportunities at SMTD, and feelings of discrimination. Respondents were asked to report on a 5-point scale regarding belonging and opportunities, and to answer yes or no about feeling discriminated against. For many of the questions, participants were asked to consider their department within the School of Music, Theater, and Dance. 70.2% of SMTD graduate students feel valued as an individual in their department, and 68.4% feel that they belong in their department. More men feel valued and feel that they belong than women, and more BIPOC feel valued and feel that they belong than white respondents. 64.9% of SMTD graduate students feel that their department has a strong commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. 70.8% of men, 63.3% of women, 55.2% of white respondents, and 75% of BIPOC respondents feel that their department has a strong commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. When examining this question by race and ethnicity, 65.5% of white respondents feel valued as an individual in their department, compared to 61.5% of Asian American and Asian respondents, and 83.3% of respondents who are more than one race. 69.2% of Asian American and Asian participants feel that they belong in their department, compared with 83.3% of participants who are more than one race, and 62.1% of white participants. 76.9% of Asian American and Asian respondents and 55.2% of white respondents feel that their department has a strong commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Participants were asked about their perception of being able to reach their full potential, again using a 5-point scale. 68.4% of SMTD graduate students feel that their department is a place where they're able to perform to their full potential. Slightly fewer women, 63.3%, agree, and slightly more men, 79.2%, agree. More BIPOC respondents agree than white respondents. 73.7% of SMTD graduate students feel that they have opportunities in their department that are similar to those of their peers. More white respondents agree than BIPOC respondents, and more men agree than women. 69.6% of SMTD graduate students feel that their experience in their department has had a positive impact on their academic growth. 82.6% of men, 63.3% of women, 60.7% of white respondents, and 78.6% of BIPOC respondents agree. When looking at race and ethnicity, 58.6% of white respondents, 69.2% of Asian American and Asian respondents, and 83.3% of respondents who are more than one race felt that their department is a place they can perform to their full potential. 75.9% of white respondents, 61.5% of Asian American and Asian respondents, and 83.3% of respondents of more than one race feel they have opportunities in their department similar to those of their peers. 60.7% of white respondents, 69.2% of Asian American Asian respondents, and 83.3% of respondents of more than one race feel that their department has had a positive influence on their academic growth. When considering discrimination experiences and perceptions, 20% of SMTD graduate students felt discriminated against in the last 12 months at U of M. 21.7% of men and 17.2% of women felt discriminated against in the past 12 months at U of M. And 18.5% and 21.4% of BIPOC participants felt discriminated against in the last 12 months at U of M. And finally, 18.5% of white participants felt discriminated against in the last 12 months at U of M. The final portion of this presentation will review DEI progress and engagement and satisfaction with DEI progress and other measures of progress since the 2017 climate survey. All of these categories are framed around the past 12 months. 44.3% of SMTD graduate students attended a DEI-related training or workshop session. 41.9% of SMTD graduate students attended a DEI-related talk or seminar. 33.9% of SMTD graduate students attended a DEI-related event in SMTD. 35% of SMTD graduate students attended a DEI-related event at the University of Michigan level. 60.7% of SMTD graduate students had a DEI-related conversation with a colleague or a peer. Overall, more women participants attended DEI events than men, and more white participants attended DEI events than BIPOC participants. When examining DEI engagement by race and ethnicity, between 45 and 54% of white respondents attended a DEI-related training, talk, or a session within SMTD. 100% of African American Black respondents, 63.3% of white respondents, and 46.7% of Asian American and Asian respondents have had a DEI-related conversation with a colleague or a peer. And again, all of these questions are framed around the last 12 months. The next data point we will review is satisfaction with DEI progress. Among all of the University of Michigan graduate students, 50.1% are neutral about progress, and 34.7% are satisfied or very satisfied with progress. These numbers are similar to those of SMTD graduate students, where 51.6% indicated they are neutral about progress, and 35.5% are satisfied or very satisfied with progress. Across many groups, including men, women, white respondents, and BIPOC respondents, most indicated they felt neutral or satisfied, very satisfied about DEI progress. When looking at DEI progress detailed by race and ethnicity, 20% of white respondents felt very dissatisfied or dissatisfied with DEI progress. 53.3% of Asian American and Asian respondents felt neutral, compared to 60% of white respondents. 20% of white respondents felt satisfied or very satisfied with progress in DEI, compared with 46.7% of Asian American and Asian respondents. Respondents were also asked to compare DEI progress to before the 2016 DEI strategic plan. 40.9% of SMTD graduate students felt progress is about the same, and 50% felt progress was much better or somewhat better. Across men, women, white respondents, and BIPOC respondents, most felt about the same or much better, somewhat better about DEI progress. When looking at race and ethnicity, 45.5% of white respondents indicated they believe DEI progress was much better or somewhat better compared to before the DEI strategic plan. The final category we will examine is comparing SMTD to other University of Michigan units. Across all University of Michigan graduate students, 14.3% of respondents felt their unit was among the very worst or worse than most. 41.5% felt their unit was about equal to other units, and 44.2% felt their unit was among the best or better than most when compared with units. Within SMTD graduate students, 27.3% felt SMTD was among the very worst or worse than other units. 27.3% of SMTD grads felt that SMTD was about equal to other units, and 45.5% of SMTD grads felt SMTD was among the very best or better than most when compared to other units. 66.7% of men felt SMTD was among the very best or better than other units. 55.6% of white respondents felt SMTD was among the very worst or worse than most units. 53.8% of BIPOC respondents felt that SMTD was among the very best or better than most units. And when looking at race and ethnicity, 55.6% of white respondents indicated they believe SMTD is among the very worst or worse than most units. So we've now completed the overview of the climate survey specific to University of Michigan School of Music, Theater, and Dance graduate students. If you would like, you are able to order a supplemental unit report for the climate survey. Reports must be ordered at a minimum of 10, and fees will vary based on the number of reports that are ordered. Orders can be placed through the University of Michigan Office for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Thank you for your time and for watching this presentation. With that, I will turn things back over to Associate Dean Corey to close this session.
Thank you for watching this presentation about the results of the 2021 Climate Survey. This important information will inform and impact the planning process for the future of diversity, equity, and inclusion at SMTD and U of M. If you have questions, please contact the SMTD Office for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion at smtd-dei-office@umich.edu.